Chris Waters here at San Diego Comic-Con with GameSpot on our stage. Joining me now, Sebastian Reichertem, the creative producer for Sacred 3. We're going to talk about Sacred 3 a lot and see the game in action. But first, I want to talk to you about Comic-Con. Is this your first time here?
Yes, this is my first Comic-Con.
Pretty exciting?
It's so awesome.
Yeah?
I'm completely blown away. It's like they make me a kid again.
They make, yeah, right. It's that feeling of seeing stuff that even if you maybe didn't like play with the toys or watch the videos when you were a kid, you still get nostalgic for just sort of the way a lot of the art and creativity is presented here.
It's insane. I mean, you go to one piece and then it's the art book of stuff from your youth. Okay, awesome. Then you go one thing next. By the way, we have now classic Masters of the Universe stuff. Oh, I played with that stuff. I collected that when I was younger.
Yes, please. Yeah, I was wearing a Masters of the Universe t-shirt yesterday that I bought at Comic-Con the day before. It's a magical place. But let's talk Sacred 3, because this is a long-running series. It's been about a decade since the first Sacred, right?
You're right.
And it's a series that a lot of people have really put a lot of time into on your end, but also on the player end. People are very passionate about the series.
Yes.
So let's talk about Sacred 3. Give us the broad overview for folks who maybe have been under a rock for the past 10 years.
Okay, for us it was important to get new interpretation into the whole Sacred thing. And Sacred 3 is basically the whole aspect of Sacred pushed into a very arcadish, action-heavy multiplayer area.
Okay.
Because it was one of the elements that we really liked about it was playing with other people, and it was so the design really went a lot into this direction of how much can we push it that playing with other players is as easy as possible. So this whole nowadays it's hard to say arcade experience because people think about small little games that they download on XBLA and PSN, but it's still this old schoolish insert coin, have fun.
And kind of the immediacy of the action, right? And just, being able to smash up a ton of, what are these, goblins?
Oh, it's our gremlin horde that is challenged with additional pirates, the bandits. Yeah.
It's nice to see them getting along and uniting over a common cause of trying to murder you.
What you see here, for example, is one of those things. You can actually grab the little gremlins and give them knee bashes like you know it from Double Dragon. And when you're finished with them, you throw them and they become projectiles to throw it into other things.
Yeah, it like smacked into another dude who smacked into the wall. Like that's that kind of arcade feel of that.
Exactly.
That kind of just
direct reward. No one in the game will tell you that you have not enough attack points to throw that guy. You will be able to do these kind of action-like moves. We don't have a dodge. We don't have a dodge roll. I mean, a test, a dice test.
Yeah.
It's not checking for numbers. You actually do. You push the stick to the left and do
You're
a
doing
button
the damage
press,
to the thing that
and
you're
then,
hitting.
Yeah, you get what you see. So if you roll aside from a fireball, you will evade the fireball. It's not checking if your dodge skill is high enough. If you see that you're not getting hit by the fireball, it will not hit.
Then you're good. You're not singed at all. Speaking of what we see, this is looks like a dude swinging a giant hammer. What kind of?
Yeah, the Safiri is very famous for his. How should I say? He wields the powers of fire and is from the Safiri culture. His name is Merak, and he's the tanky guy. Now he has picked up his first. War Spirit, which is basically a special power-up item that you can put into your weapons to get additional benefits from it. This guy, for example, can trigger. This guy can trigger chain lightnings. So the stronger you make sure that this guy gets, he's basically inbound into your weapon, and then you will have lightning damage on your weapon, additionally to what the Safiri brings in.
Okay.
But the Safiri already has a lot of fire-based attacks.
Yeah, we've been seeing some fire spewing, I think, a little bit earlier. But so you're putting like the trapped spirit of some guy into your weapon, and then leveling that spirit up.
The Ashen Empire, the evil guys, so to say, use that for their power, for their army. But you free them, and then they help you. Okay. And so. The nice idea about it is that you can freely choose which one to put into your weapon, and it gives additional effects to it. And so
that's just, I imagine in the inventory you can sort of shuffle that around. Exactly. You can equip different spirits, but then also you've got it looks like you've got two sort of spells or something on the two shoulder buttons here, judging from the HUD up on the top left. So there are a lot of abilities in play as well.
Yeah, the whole thing about Sacred always was, fans were always happy about this whole combat art combo thing. How do you combine? What combinations are possible? We streamlined it a lot, so making sure that it doesn't overwhelm you by throwing tons and tons of different things at you without you understanding them first. But the cool thing is that you will always have the chance to pick two out of a bunch of them to define how your character wants to be. And this doesn't stop with the two main super attacks. It also has the chance that you say, this whole evading is not my thing, I want to become a wall. So you choose the block instead, and then you simply stand there and become invincible for a short moment.
And is that an ability, or is that sort of more of a passive attribute kind of thing where you're sort of skewing your character towards being tougher?
It's an active ability. Again, this whole arcade feeling and spirit is in there to make sure that we transport this all the time. The cool thing is that it works in multiplayer so well because you can become a wall for your friends.
Oh, nice.
People throwing stones at you at the whole party. Yeah, you simply
just
stand
step
there,
up and take some stones on the chin. It's no big deal.
Yeah, this guy doesn't look like he would mind, right?
No, he seems fine. Totally fine with it. Yeah, speaking of multiplayer, we had another character just drop in during this, and who, besides having like really awesome hair, what's her deal?
The Seraphim is the most classic character from the whole IP. It's basically our angel-like creature. She's from a race that is sent from a culture that is sent from the gods to protect the world.
Yeah, we can see her sort of wispy blue wings coming out the back there.
Yeah, the more she uses her powers, the more you can see actually how the wings spread out and.
Oh, okay. So the character model itself changes as you develop your strengths and your powers.
Even if you get the better armor sets and you become more powerful, the wings will fold out. And if you do then the extreme power super moves, it basically will wipe the screen with the wings.
That sounds delightful.
It's a lot of fun too.
So we've seen and compare her to the warrior we saw fighting alongside. Is her style a little bit more nimble, or can she also skew towards that kind of like damage taking wall character?
She's more agile. I wouldn't call more agile, but she still packs a huge punch because she's like a heavenly punishment for those guys. You shouldn't take her lightly. She's doing damage a lot, but she does it a little bit more subtle by cursing them first, or basically spreading out the holy word, which isn't very kind to the bad guys.
It's not a nice word if you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
All right. So we've actually sort of gone out now to like a little port area. These guys coming off of this boat. Talk to me a little bit about just sort of the environmental design and what kind of world you guys are trying to create here in Sacred 3.
Yeah, it was important. The whole thing about Sacred is the world is the world of Sacred, and it plays some thousand years after the other Sacreds. So we wanted to show off what does Ancaria look like now. So Ancaria is the name of the world, but what does it look like now? How has it changed? And there we sat together and designed the whole thing. Okay, there was a lake before. After 10,000 years, the lake has vanished because of an earthquake over here. And so we gave a lot of. It was important to have these things in there that reference to the old Sacred games, and still give us an opportunity to show how we see it, how it would look like now. So you will find Brave Rock in there, but it has changed completely and has become a very grim place. It's not the main capital city anymore. So we're really looking
fallen on hard times.
More like an undead city.
Well, okay, I guess that's a little bit more than just hard times when your city becomes an undead city.
There we have our little armored troll.
Yeah, so this is another neat thing that I always really enjoy in games of this ilk is when the size of enemies really scales up and you feel like you're taking on something that's really formidable because it's towering over you.
Yeah, we love to put this kind of challenges at the players. It's an easy way to communicate that they should be careful about this guy.
Yep, this is the guy.
Yeah, this is the thing that makes you become careful.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the cooperative play. So, you know, this was just sort of a drop-in. It looked like that happened, you know, mid-match. Is that something you do locally? Is that something you do through online connection?
All the time. The most important thing for us is make sure people can play together. So we wanted to have the moment that a classic situation is you sit at home, you play the game, and a friend comes by. So do you quit the game? You basically have to quit the game, because even if he wants to play with you, you start from the beginning, because he has not the right he has not the right character, or if he doesn't know the game. So if your character is level 20 and your friend comes in and he presses start, we create a level 20 character for him.
You guys
so
just simple
guest access.
Nice.
Here you go, play with it. This is the big advantage, that they instantly can join the fun. And as the game is very direct, it's also not about learning which numbers in your, how high is the number in your attack pool, how high is the number in your defense pool. Big thing flying at you, dodge.
Yep.
It's a very simple concept.
Get out of the way.
There's still tons of detail in there. So how do you use the bombs? Will you throw him at him directly? Are you trying to roll him at his feet and make him run into it? So it's not like we removed the complexity and the possibilities from the whole system, but we wanted to make sure that getting into it is fast. Because when your friend then played with you and said, "This was awesome," he's probably at the point where he says, "I need something better than a guest account. Let me log in with my own account. I want to create my own character.
I want to have built the character to this point, you know,
Exactly.
because there's satisfaction in that for sure."
But even if he doesn't like to, the guest account will have all the possibilities he needs. So he will be in the next when he's next time in the menu, he has the chance to change his abilities. He can level up. So if you prefer to have a night full of beer and Sacred, no problem. The game will serve this.
Go.
And the nice thing is you still can play online.
Okay.
So what happens is you're with your friend in front of the console, and the game says, "Well, you still have 2 slots. I found someone who should play with you," and then he joins you, and the fun gets more, because the more people, the more fun.
More fun. That's a pretty steady maxim in video games, especially when you're dealing with cooperative situations. Just a quick clarification, though. We're seeing Xbox controller prompts on screen. What system is this running on? Or what was this footage drawn from, do you know?
This footage was drawn from the PC.
In your discerning eye?
No, I remember that. I remember the recording session.
Yeah.
I actually was playing, I think, not in this scene, but I was playing a lot of the Seraphim in the recording session.
I really like that animation that precedes the sort of awakening the spirit shards, that the like ghosts that sort of effervesces up from whatever thing you just killed. I think that's a really neat effect. I'm curious about the cooperative abilities, because you sort of mentioned a way they can interact before, one character sort of serving as a wall for others. Are there moves or abilities that are more directly linked, that sort of depend on a cooperative player to execute?
So the whole system is focusing a lot on even with small details. If 2 players attack one monster, it will get an additional damage bonus. They will get an additional damage bonus, because it's just harder for the monster to defend. He will get more damage and not only from the 2 players, there will also be a bonus in. Then we take care of back attacks, which sounds very simple, but with 2 players, it's very, very valuable. One distracts the enemy, and the other one is attacking from behind. It sounds very simple, it works very well, but we also have dedicated features to it. For example, the LT and the RT buttons there that are flashing in the upper right and lower right are also triggering so-called co-op combat arts that are really made for acting together. The Zephyri, for example, casts a meteor storm.
Well, that sounds helpful.
So every player gets a little symbol around them to get the info. Soon there will be a meteor crashing in, so they can get themselves into position and enjoy the fun. While the Seraphim...
was that a meteor crash right there we just saw? It was sort of an area explosion.
Area explosion.
Yeah, I saw the indicators flash up there.
Exactly. And new weapon.
Oh,
good.
Nice. Star Crusher. Mean.
And the Seraphim is one of my favorite abilities, because it weakens simply the whole battlefield, and all the enemies have a very high chance that they get knocked down when you hit them. And enemies in our game that get knocked down will end up in the state of executable. So you simply press a button and you do a high jump on them and simply impale them with one hit.
And then it's over for them.
Yes, and then we have a nice skill that is called chain execution, and so it really feels awesome when you simply press the button 3 times,
and
it kind of bounces from one enemy to the other and kills them with one hit instead of a whole barrage of attacks like tack 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 tack, pink.
It seems like sort of underlying the design philosophy is this desire to create moments like that, where you are just sort of, you've got your enemies into a position where you can dispatch them in like a real satisfying, just kind of like makes you grin because it's so.
Yes,
so fun.
It's so rewarding. I mean,
Yeah.
the contrast of playing it alone and fighting through the whole thing is that it gives you an insight of how powerful your enemies are. And then when you're in multiplayer and 4 people are unleashing the insanity of their powers, it's like, whoa, we just nuked that screen. That is awesome.
Oh, that sounds good, Sebastian. You talk about the game very passionately, and I love it. It's so fun to talk with developers who like take such pleasure.
I think it's very hard to fight through the development of a game if you cannot feel the passion for it. And this is like, this whole arcade spirit that is in there, that it still has this. This looks a little bit like Double Dragon, this is a little bit like Final Fight, and this is definitely Sacred, so that's something that made us very happy to see.
Very cool. All right, well, I think that is going to sort of come to the end of the Sacred 3 demos time, but tell me, what platforms is Sacred 3 coming out on? Because we saw it played with a controller there, even though it was captured on PC.
Yeah. The controls have been polished for all platforms we are dealing, so we have it on PC, we have it on PS3, and we have it on Xbox 360.
When though? When?
August. 1st of August.
August 1st?
Was it August 1st?
That's like next week.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
That's the reason why I told you before, I'm really busy, but it's still fun to be here.
Still got time to come to San Diego Comic-Con and come on the GameSpot stage. Sebastian, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking about Sacred 3 out next, like literally a week from today, if my calendar math is all right. Calendar math is definitely a term.
Mine is horrible too, because I'm so close to release.
And you're flying all over the country? All right. Well, cool. Thank you so much again, Sebastian.
Thank you for having me.
Sacred 3, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out next week.